are profoundly embedded in most of us, which eventually lead us to hold certain kind of attitude and stereotypes against men and women. But strong women are constantly fighting against gender biases and they are making their own place in society. If we talk about women of Cyprus, then find that they have made their own place in their society. They have made great advancement in their society, not just in education or in the workplace, but also in political participation. And the number of women in workforce is steadily increasing. So to know more about Cyprus women and their progress against gender biases, we have invited a wonderful guest who is joining us from Cyprus. Her name is Magda Zenon. She is a gender and human rights activist, mediator at Mediterranean Women Mediators Network, executive board member at Cyprus Women's Lobby. Magda?
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Magda, we are very delighted to have you on our show and thank you so much for joining us.
I'm very honored that you having me on the show. And just to fill the readers in on who I am, I grew up in the dark ages of apartheid in South Africa. So I was exposed to inequalities and violations of human rights from a very young age, and also blessed to be brought up in a family that allowed me to explore these, that wasn't concerned about me being active, was concerned about me being safe. So I've always been an activist. I think I was born an activist. I've always been someone that wanted to do the right thing, wanted everyone to be in the same position. We must all have equal access.
Right.
We don't need to use everything, but we need to have equal access to resources, responsibilities, and opportunities. So I've always been an activist. And then when I came to Cyprus 20 years ago, I found my place in women's rights. Because and women's rights and peace building, that's the place that I'm very familiar with, because Cyprus, for the listeners that might not know, has been divided for the last 50 odd years.
I see.
It's got a green line, it's divided, the island is physically divided. We have two major communities, the one is Greek speaking, the other one is Turkish speaking. We have a peace process that is ongoing. We don't have women in the peace process, or we don't have a gender perspective in the peace process, and we also don't have a peace process that seems to be going anywhere. And that's the place that I found my space, okay? And what led me to where I am is I found that what we need to do is that there are wonderful women peace builders, and not just in Cyprus, around the world, but they are not being heard. Yes. They are not visible in the media. They are not visible anywhere. So my intention, or the thing that I find I do well and I enjoy doing, is to actually find a space for them to tell their stories and then advertise their stories or amplify their stories or promote their stories. So that's where it's actually women's participation in peace processes, and by default participation in decision making across the board within the country. Right. Because unless we have a gender balance, unless we have a gender perspective in whatever we do, things are not sustainable. They're not inclusive. They don't represent everyone. Right. So we need to get diverse voices in peace building, in political processes, in decision making, in order to ensure that policies that are put into place actually represent everyone.
Right. So what are some of the key issues and current challenges that you see women in Cyprus are facing due to stereotypical attitude of the society? And what endeavors or efforts you and your organization, your associations are making in this direction?
Oh, we've got a lot of the gender pay gap is dismal. Okay. We've got one of the highest gender pay gaps in the European Union. We have only recently, fortunately, had women a big number of women included in the ministerial council. So what we need to do, and what we've all been trying to do, is to ensure or promote the fact that you do need women, but you don't need women biologically. You need women in terms of they need to bring in a gender perspective. So it's not, doesn't mean that because it's a woman, she's going to have a gender perspective.
Right.
So the challenges we face is patriarchy at its best, because even within the peace process, the only inequality that's discussed when they're discussing the balance between finding a solution between the Greek-speaking and the Turkish-speaking community is ethnic. No other inequality is ever spoken about or spoken about enough. So our big challenge is to bring the question of, or the issue of equality is multifaceted. Equality is not just ethnic, it's educational, it's social, it's economic, it's gender, it's religious.
Right.
So the biggest challenge is to bring in all the dimensions of equality within the equality that the men that are sitting at the table are trying to sort out and find a sustainable peace solution.
Right.
So the biggest challenge is, maybe it sounds facetious, but almost we take it seriously, that you keep on talking about this gender perspective. And it's a real issue, because unless what you're putting into place includes my voice, it isn't really sustainable. Or unless what you're putting into place has listened to my voice. It doesn't need to include my perspective, but it's actually listened to my voice and has in some way acknowledged the fact that there is another voice. What you're putting into place doesn't really, firstly, it doesn't really represent me. And secondly, it doesn't really have a chance of being sustainable.
Right.
And facts of research has proven that when you include the gender perspective in peace building, you have a bigger chance of reaching a solution, and you also have a bigger chance of that solution being sustainable.
Right. True. Yes.
So the big challenge is for them to take us seriously, and also not seriously for them to say, you know what, let's listen. We haven't had a solution until now. So maybe we take one step aside or one step forward or add in something to the conversation, we might get the breakthrough we need. And I totally feel that we will get the breakthrough we need if we start listening to other voices.
Right. So, Magda, my question is that what are some of those projects or, endeavors broadly that you have been working on so far? I know that because of COVID-19, those projects might have taken backseat nowadays, but yes.
Well, like the Mediterranean, as you said, I'm part of the Mediterranean Women Mediators Network.
Yes.
The Mediterranean Women Mediators Network has got antennas in each of its countries.
Yes.
So Cyprus, we're trying to put together the Cyprus antenna. We have launched it, but the fact that we are women from throughout the island, we're having to have meetings online. We cannot meet. The checkpoints are closed.
Yes.
Zoom is great, but Zoom doesn't replace having a real meeting.
Right.
So that's one of the challenges, is actually bringing the women together, because there's a limit to how many meetings you can have online, and there's a limit to how much you can do online, even as a group. The one thing that has been good with the COVID, which is the silver lining, is that because of Zoom, the other group that I belong to, which is Hands Across the Divide, it's given us an opportunity to actually be more intimate. And when I say intimate, I'm talking about when you're having a Zoom meeting, I'm actually inviting you into my home. You can see me in my home setting. Yes. I'm talking from my sofa, or this is one of my favorite paintings at the back. So actually, it has forced us, no, not forced us, because we wanted to keep in touch, but we actually we're getting to know each other better.
Yes.
But it doesn't replace the fact that we are hampered by the fact that the checkpoints are closed.
Yes.
Because every now and again they'll change the rules. No, you're allowed to come through, but you need to have a COVID-19 test the day before.
Yes.
And then if I go to the north, I've got to be back within 2 days, or else it will expire. And then the north will give me a test. It's actually quite confusing. And in fact, it's causing a lot of us to say, well, no, I might go north and then I get stuck. And how do I get home again?
Right.
So there are a lot of challenges. It hasn't stopped us communicating.
Yes.
It stopped us doing the more interactive stuff.
Yes. 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 So
And it's also the fact that we are two separate communities. The fact that we've got the separation of the checkpoints
right.
means that it's trying to, even though the connections are quite good because we've all been friends for years, a lot of us, it's still not, it's making things a lot harder for us to be in touch and to do things. And you know yourself that it's a different thing if the two of us sit together next to each other on the sofa and have a cup of tea than if we're talking on Skype or on Zoom.
Yes, 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 right, right. So, okay.
But the other good thing that's happened is that the one project that I've done and has become, and is going to be launched in about 2 months, is I'm doing podcasts. I've already finished the project that was finished during the lockdown. 21 peace builders.
Oh.
And I've got 21 podcasts about success stories, because that's my passion. As I said, that's my passion. So we're finalizing the schedule and they will start being launched end of August.
Okay. Okay. Right. So Magda,
but it's also, can I add something else? The fact the other thing that the COVID has done, especially in Cyprus, is that because the checkpoints are closed, people work in the south. People come from the north and work in the south. With the close down of the checkpoints, people have suddenly got a loss of income.
Yes, yes.
The banks don't talk to each other, so you can't even get unemployment.
Right, right. I think it's happening everywhere. I think universal scenario. It's happening everywhere. Yes, yes. So,
but this is quite complex because it's within the Cyprus. Cyprus is technically one country.
Yes.
But the one community suddenly doesn't have. They used to come to the south, go to their jobs. They would go to the bank in the south and get their money. That bank cannot send money to the north electronically.
Okay.
So it's slightly, a little bit more complicated.
Yes, yes, yes. So if we talk about COVID-19 and its impact on domestic violence, did you see any rise in Cyprus? Did women come to you complaining that, they have been suffering from increased domestic violence nowadays because they have to spend, time together in the family where they might not be very comfortable staying 24/7? Yes.
There's been a very big marked increase in domestic violence. The domestic violence NGO is overwhelmed with telephone calls. People are not coping with the amount of calls that are coming through, and it's also getting help. Because of the lockdown, how do you get help? So the domestic violence has been marked. There's been a marked increase in domestic violence. But this has also made the authorities realize that home is actually not safe for a lot of women.
Right.
This thing about stay home and be safe with COVID, keep yourself safe. When you're a victim of domestic violence or when there's abuse in the home is not a great place to be.
Yes. Yes.
And a very wonderful friend of mine who's a drama teacher, she had an adult group of drama students. Right. And with the lockdown, it was actually premiered 2 days ago. She put together a movie that they actually then turned into one movie. 6 women in their homes with different scenarios of what it means to be a victim of domestic violence. And it was all done online, everyone in their own home, all on using their telephones to record. And she actually put together a wonderful production called A Woman Alone, which discusses this thing that home is not a safe place to be for a lot of people. You get locked at home, but a lot of the times you got locked at home because violence has made you disabled. or violence has handicapped you,
Yes.
or it's enslaved you.
Yes.
So the domestic violence is very high, but I think the authorities have had to admit that they need to do something
Right.
because it's marked the difference, and the voices are louder.
Okay. Got it. Got it. Yeah. Yeah. So, Magda, would you like to give any message to all women viewers who are watching you?
Well, the one message is follow your passion and you'll do well, and the other message is you're never alone. Wherever you are, whatever you need, there will always be someone either to reach your hand out to or to listen to you. So
Right.
never think you're alone. Never think what's happening to you is yours alone. You can always help someone, or someone always can help you. And you must always bear that in mind. I think that's the thing we all need to bear in mind, that you're not alone. Even in your worst moments, someone is always there to listen to you.
Yes. True. True. Yeah. Thank you so much, Magda, for talking to us and for being with us. We wish you all the best for your all future endeavors and projects. And thank you so much for giving us so much insight into women progress and empowerment in Cyprus. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, please. You want to
I
say
thank
something?
you, and I want the listeners to remember you're not alone. You're not alone, and you have unbelievable strength within you when you step out of that space.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.
I truly appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you guys for watching.
Thank you.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Bye.
Bye bye.